Good afternoon. At the outset, I would like to thank you for appointing me as your mediator today. My name is Divya Khanwani. Before proceeding, let's have a quick round of introductions.
So I am Mr. GBK and I am the CEO of Philippus. You can call me GBK.
And I'm Gaurav Chaudhary. I'm the counsel of GBK. You can always call me Chaudhary.
Hi, I am Anu Malik, and you can call me Anu.
Hi, I'm Hiram. I'm Mr. Malik's counsel.
Great. So, first off, let me congratulate you for agreeing to gather for an online mediation session. Of course, in arbitration, one of you may win and one of you may lose. But in mediation, just by talking to each other and by having a guided conversation, all of us can win. Disagreements are natural. Let's talk our way through them. Now, I'm sure that you both have come to this table with certain interests and emotions that you cannot wait to share. But before that, let me briefly outline the process and my role here today. Personally, I like to look at mediation in a somewhat different light. So, how about for today, look at yourself as passengers in a cab. Look at me as a cab driver for the journey. I am still awaiting my driver's license, but that's a story for another day. What I'm trying to say is that you will decide the destination. My job is merely to drive you there and to protect you from any obstacles or bumps that we hit along the road. Now, sometimes we may drive fast or sometimes we drive slow, but what's important is that we are driving together towards a mutually agreeable destination. So I invite you to trust the process fully and trust me as your mediator. Essentially, help me to help you. I would like to distinguish myself from the from arbitrator, judge, or a legal counsel. So my role here is not only to facilitate the discussion, not to make a decision, not to advise you under any circumstances whatsoever. I'm completely neutral and impartial. When I speak without prejudice. Now, there are several pillars of mediation, and I would like to know them. Um, Sorry if I was going way too fast. And how there are several pillars of mediation. I would like you to know four of them when moving forward. First is confidentiality. Anything you say in this session, anything at all, will remain within the bounds of the four walls. It is also without prejudice, which means it cannot be used as evidence in the court of law or arbitration. So please feel free to share anything that is on your mind, anything at all, or that would help us to reach a mutually agreeable solution today. Secondly, mediation is a voluntary process. You are in control. Someone may drag you to a litigation, but nobody can drag you to a mediation. You have chosen to be here, and I will only help you to make your own decisions. Thirdly, this process is also non binding. So, any agreement or settlement you reach today will not be binding until you decide to make it binding. So, be creative, never hesitate. Who knows, these new solutions can lead us to new destinations. Lastly, I would like to highlight the fairness of the process. Both of you will have an equal opportunity to speak today. I also suggest that both of you listen to each other and understand each other's interests. I would now like to touch upon the process of the session, as so you have a rough idea or understanding of what awaits you. However, let me clarify the process is flexible and we can always adapt as the talk proceeds. Just like there are many routes that lead to a destination, there are many processes that we could take to reach our destination. We will begin by hearing each of you explain your perspective in an uninterrupted opening statement. I will do my best to understand how the matter looks from your shoes, and I would ask you to do the same. We will then lay out an agenda and discuss each issue in a joint session. Here, I would bring you closer to a mutually beneficial agreement. Now, at any point during the session, either of you may call for a private caucus. This is when one party will speak with me privately. The beauty of the caucus is that anything you say will remain completely confidential and would not be revealed unless you choose to reveal it. In fact, I may also call for a private caucus. I will do this when I think that we have reached an impasse or whenever it would help to smoothen the process. Now, before we begin with your opening statements, I would encourage all of you to negotiate respectfully and in good faith. I have mediated a lot of matters, and it is these negotiations that have been most successful. I would now suggest that in your opening statement, both of you highlight your interests and what you expect from the other party in this mediation. Trust me, once you dig deeper from your positions and direct demands to your interests and motivations, you will find much more common ground than you came to this table thinking. Now, before concluding, I would like to know if both of you have full authority to reach a settlement today.
Yes, I do have full authority.
Great. That brings my opening statement to a close. Do you have any questions or clarifications? Perfect. So now in my experience, the requesting party has often begun with their opening statement. Is that okay with everyone? Great. Then the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Divya, for explaining the concept and process of mediation in such a lucid manner. Your explanation has assured me that choosing mediation over litigation was definitely the right choice. Mr. Anu, as you know, Philippus has been a giant in the medical industry for about a decade now. And during my tenure as CEO, I've always been committed to ensuring that society gets the absolute best healthcare it can at our hospitals. We at Philippus are also constantly persevering to develop the best and most effective drugs for the diseases that plague the world, using the network of high-tech hospitals and research centers that we have across the country. So you can imagine my shock when I heard that one of our patients is accusing us of gross medical negligence and suing us for causing his permanent disability. Ever since you filed the complaint at the Consumer Commission, our reputation has taken a hit. And if I'm being completely honest, my board of directors has also been persisting that I take care of this issue and set it aside. Even putting all this aside, I had an opportunity to converse with Dr. Raghuveer, and we are of the opinion that regardless of who is to blame among me and you, our customers are definitely our greatest assets. And therefore, we are willing to discuss the potential compensation if the complaint is withdrawn from your side. I want you to know that I completely understand the pain and suffering that you've been through. And I think you would agree that a long-drawn litigation is not in either of our best interests. Now I'll pass the mic to my counsel so he can better explain what exactly we are doing here.
Thank you for that, GBK. So as you can see, this matter is extremely important for my client's interest, and that's why we are committed to reaching a settlement today. I would now like to highlight some of the concerns that my client would like to discuss today. But before that, I wanted to briefly talk about two things. First, my role in this mediation, and the reason why my client is here at this table today. So as for my role in this mediation, I have been working closely with the hospital as their counsel and having a good understanding of its philosophy and operations. I will be advising and assisting GBK in reaching a settlement that fulfills the needs and interests of both us as well as yours. Although I am a lawyer by training, but courts are no fun for me. So I enjoy doing this better, and in that end, I will refrain from making any legal arguments and submissions unless necessary, because I believe mediation is not the appropriate forum for that. I do hope that Mr. Hiram will also avoid the same. Of course, if we do let the legalese get the better of us, I hope Ms. Divya will remind us for the purpose of this mediation to reach an amicable solution rather than determining the correct legal position. Secondly, as the reason why my client is here, we believe that litigation is not the ideal way of resolving this dispute, considering the great investment that it incurs in terms of money, time, and reputational damages. Therefore, I'm glad that both of us are here at this table to try and hopefully reach a mutually acceptable solution. To that end, I have advised GBK that it would be best of if we are as frank as open as possible during this discussion. Having said that, I would like to highlight some of the concerns of my client coming into the mediation today. First, he wants to discuss the compensation requirements for withdrawal of the complaint. Secondly, he also wants to discuss the future course of action. In light of this, we look forward in hearing your side as well, and we hope that we have a productive mediation session today.
Thanks. Greetings to everyone who has come to this mediation table. Thanks, Divya, for explaining the concept of mediation in such a simpler terms. At the outset, I would like to make it clear to everyone present here that I am filled with emotions. I am deeply saddened, dejected, agitated, and disappointed regarding my current physical and emotional situation, which has been caused due to the negligence of Philippis company and their hospital and Dr. Raghu. Now, I cannot do things which I love. I love to play football. I was called the little Messi by my colleagues. I cannot now go for trekking. I cannot play guitar. My whole life has been destroyed. Despite this, with some hope, I have considered the option of mediation, which has been suggested by my client, by my counsel, Mr. Hiram. I really hope that today we can come to a amicable settlement and I get sufficient compensation for the negligence caused by Dr. Raghuveer and the Philippines company. As you mentioned, I am also invested towards this mediation and wanted to decide this matter as soon as possible so that I can bear my expenses, medical and other expenses. Now, my counsel, Mr. Hiram, will further tell you exactly what I am looking from this mediation table.
Thank you for that, Anu. Before we start a conversation, I'd like to clarify that I'm here in an advisory capacity to assist Mr. Murray. I genuinely believe that mediation can protect the interests of both the parties here, and we can arrive at a mutual understanding by the end of this session. In an attempt to ensure that, I'll be refraining from engaging in legal arguments or using legal terminology. And I'm sure that all of us here understand that mediation is not an appropriate forum to do so. Now, moving on, as both the parties here know, and as Mr. Malik so passionately described, he has been through a lot recently. He has nevertheless made a genuine attempt to arrive at an amicable agreement. And I hope that this attempt is reciprocated by you as well. So we will also ensure that whatever is said in this room stays in this room. And having said that, my client's primary concern is receiving adequate compensation. And we also look forward to hearing your concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for highlighting your interests. Now, I think it's in our best interest that we take a 10-minute break. And after that, we will meet again and proceed with the mediation session. Welcome back. The few issues that I was able to recognize from your opening statements are: first, resolve the present issue regarding withdrawal of complaint and payment of compensation. Second, discuss the future course of action. Let me write them down so it's clearer for all of us. Just give me a second. Now, please tell me if I've missed out on anything, or would you like anything to delete from the agenda? Perfect. So is everybody okay with the order? Okay. So now, just before we proceed with the discussions, I would like to inform you that in my experience, it has often happened that parties stray away from the agenda, club issues in their discussions. While that is completely normal, let's not try to put the cart before the horse and at least stick to the agenda broadly to streamline the process. If I feel we are straying away from the agenda too much, I may intervene only to confirm whether both of you want to reorder the issues or reset the agenda accordingly. Is that okay? Great. So let's begin.
Mr. Anu, before we get into the issues, I just want to know, how is your health and how have you been doing since the entire incident?
I'm not doing good, neither physically nor emotionally. Earlier, when I came to your hospital, I was only suffering from high blood pressure. During the initial days of the treatment, I was also feeling better. But now, due to the adverse implications of the treatment given in your hospital, I have paralyzed my right hand and leg, which has led to a situation of permanent disability, which has caused great trauma not only to me, but to all my relatives and all my friends.
I hear you, Mr. Anu, and I want you to know that we at Philippines are extremely sorry about your condition. And today at this mediation table, we will do our best to remedy your situation with compensation.
So,
Out of utmost respect for you, I cannot do anything about yourself. I have used all my savings in this. Now I am 52 years old. I was planning about my future after retirement, but now I am in dire need of this compensation amount. I have discussed this with my counsel also and have come to an estimate of 1.5 crores compensation amount, which was something which we have also included in our complaint filed in the state consumer for.
So getting into the matter directly, could you please provide a breakup on how you reached the amount of 1.5 crore?
Yes, this is what something which I have discussed with my counsel also, Mr. Hira. So for medical expenses which I have incurred till now and the expenses which I will be facing in the future due to this negligence, that will be amounting to 25 lakhs. And due to this incident, I am deeply saddened that deeply saddened to tell you about that I have lost my job and I have no career in the future. So due to this, that amount will be 75 lakhs. This incident has also caused me great emotional trauma to me, not only me, but also to my family and other relatives. So that will also be included in that. My wife is threatening to divorce me. And I'm also wanted to tell that my girlfriend has also left me due to this incident. If that satisfies you, I have a counter question for you. Can you please tell me why this specific drug was prescribed to me? I have consulted with another doctor, Mr. Satish, who is from Columbus Hospital, which is a very, very reputed hospital. And I got some information. And after that information, I was completely shocked. He told me that this drug was not yet in the public forum. So you have given me a drug which is not in the public information.
So, Mr. Malik, this is something that I have talked to Dr. Raghuveer about, and he told me that even though the medicine methylcobol was not available to the public, in his expert opinion, and he has been a consulting doctor with our hospital and multiple other hospitals for many years, and he is one of the leading doctors in the country itself. He, in his expert opinion, he said that methylcobol would be the perfect drug for you, and that is why, keeping your best interests at heart only, he prescribed that drug to you, even though it was not available to the public forum.
See, I am not satisfied with this answer. I am no medical expert. I have no knowledge about the medical science or anything pharmaceutical knowledge. But what I can say is, but I can't really understand why a medical practitioner of such a famous hospital can prescribe something which has no information in the public. I mean, no one knows about it. Mr. Satish, Dr. Satish, who was from such a reputed hospital, was also not aware about this. Can you please answer why this specific drug was prescribed and no other drug with similar content was prescribed? I'm really disappointed, and this has led to such a hard situation to me. Please answer my question.
Well, I think that we can all feel the tensions rising in the room. This is very normal in a mediation setting. But I think it may be appropriate at this point to call a private caucus if that's okay with all of you. I think it would help streamline the process at the moment. If I may request Mr. Anu Malik and Mr. Hiram to wait in the waiting room while I speak to Mr. Bharat and Mr. Gaurish.
Yeah, sure.
Hi, this is a private caucus. Any and all information shared by you in this private meeting will remain confidential unless you choose to reveal it. I would recommend you to share any and all information essential for this process with me. It will better equip me to understand your interests behind your positions and therefore enable each one of us to navigate through the mediation more efficiently.
So, Ms. Mediator, Ms. Divya, if I can be honest, we came to this mediation in extreme good faith, because even though they filed a complaint for such a massive amount, we felt that mediation would be in both our best interests. We felt that our reputation would be taking a hit continuously, and Mr. Anu also requires urgent compensation because, as he already mentioned, he has lost his job, and we empathize with him completely. But seeing his behavior, he keeps on wanting to figure out what is wrong, and we get a feeling that all he wants to do is to assign blame on us. So this is not something we actually want out of a mediation. But something that I think would help move the mediation along is that we have to acknowledge that there was a slight fault on our behalf as well. So a major thing would be that, so this drug, as Mr. Anu was asking about, methylcobol, was something that is only undergoing clinical trials at the stage when he was actually getting the drug by Dr. Raghuveer. And Dr. Raghuveer was the head in charge of the clinical trials as well. And because he was the head, he knew the ingredients in and out, he knew the side effects, and he knew that it would actually get the desired effects with Mr. Anu. And that is why he prescribed it, even though it was not fully approved and fully out to the public forum yet. Despite that, we are not totally sure as to why exactly all these side effects and all these attacks and permanent disability happen. And we just wanted to know if revealing this information would be something that could help move the mediation along, because we really don't know how this blame game would help us in the long run, would help us in the mediation. And if my counsel wants to add something.
Yeah, so just to add one thing, the medicine that is methylcobol that has been prescribed by the doctor, but they don't have any bill of the same. So even if they go for litigation, they don't have any evidence. So we have fair chances to win even if we go for litigation.
So we have come to this table in good faith, even knowing that our best chances do exist in litigation itself, because we empathize with Mr. Anu. So we just wanted to know how we can move along this mediation.
Thank you for sharing that with me. I have a much profound understanding of your perspective now. Now, I would like to reiterate that everything that you revealed in the caucus is completely confidential unless you choose to reveal it. Now, having said that, in my experience, it's best to reveal as much information as you can in order to enable the other party to understand your perspective better and to ensure a smooth course of the action ahead. Now, is there any information that you would like to disclose or you would like me to disclose in the negotiation setting?
I think it would be best if we disclose the information.
Okay, that's really good. If it's okay with both the people, if it's okay with you, I will now bring the other party from the waiting room into the main meeting room so that we can resume our session. In the interest of fairness, I would like to ask Mr. Anu Malik if he would like a private caucus right now as well or not. And while that is, having said that, I would like to say that it is not necessary that you take a private caucus right now. It's completely all right if you choose to, and if I feel like that we can take a private caucus sometime ahead of the presence.
We'd like to take a caucus sometime ahead of or later.
Perfect. So now, thank you for your time. Thank you for the time. I will thank both the parties for their time. Now, since it was discussed in the caucus that Mr. Bharat wants to reveal some information personally, so I would give the floor to Mr. Bharat.
Thank you, Ms. Mediator. So, Mr. Anu, I just want to be completely honest with you. I understand what you're going through, and I just want to reveal one small thing. So you asked why a drug that is not available to the public forum was prescribed to you, and you didn't seem satisfied with the answer that I gave as to why it was the most efficient drug in the marketplace right then, and why Dr. Raghuveer kept your interests at hand. So in complete honesty and in complete candor, I just want to tell you that this drug was not yet available to the public yet because it was still undergoing clinical trials. And Dr. Raghuveer was actually the head of the clinical trials. And by virtue of being the head, he knew the medicine in and out, he knew the side effects, and he knew completely that it would be the best and most efficient remedy for your specific symptoms and for your specific diagnosis. And that is why he remedied, and that is why he prescribed it to you along with the other conditions. If that satisfies you.
Yes, I appreciate your candor.
Just in consonance with moving the mediation along, considering that there was a slight negligence on behalf of Dr. Raghuveer as well in prescribing a medicine that was still in clinical trials, what we would like to offer you is that we would give you a compensation of around 50 lakhs, and in return, you would have to withdraw the complaint that you have made at the State Consumer Redressal Commission.
If I may, just to clarify, you're offering my client 50 lakh rupees to withdraw the complaint.
I think I have already made it quite clear about the compensation amount, and I have also given the breakup why I was asking about 1.5 crore. And I'm really not willing to accept this 50 lakhs because I think it is quite low, and I am quite saddened with your offer.
Mr. Anu, it was after talking to the mediator and after considering all that you've said that we have come to this offer of 50 lakhs. I think my counsel also wants to say something.
So my client have revealed this in the good faith. So I just wanted to ask one simple question. Have you followed entire prescription that has been prescribed by Dr. Raghuvi?
Yeah, I have taken all the dosages and the medicines prescribed by the doctor, Dr. Raghuvi. Yeah.
Mr. Anu, but considering the fact that after a deep conversation with Dr. Raghuveer and considering the fact that you mentioned yourself that you were actually getting better while using methylcobol and that it was suddenly that you got an attack and something triggered it. So can you mention if there was any specific incident that might have triggered your attack apart from merely the use of methylcobol? Because I'm like, after talking with Dr. Raghuveer, he's completely sure that even though it was at a clinical stage, the medicine was perfect and we are awaiting approval at any day. So if you can answer.
If I may have a moment with my counsel.
Mr. Malik, if I may interject, I sense some hesitation on your part. Would you like a private caucus with the mediator in this moment?
Yeah, thank you. That'll be great.
If it be okay with the other party, I would like to put Mr. Bharat and Mr. Gaurish in the waiting room.
Sure.
Just give me a second to do the needful. Hi, this is a private caucus. Any information revealed by any of you would remain completely confidential unless you choose to reveal it or disclose it in whatever extent you choose. Then, secondly, in my best interest, it is often desirable to convey all your thoughts and concerns in a very candid manner so that it would better equip me to understand your positions and your interests, and we can move ahead in an amicable way.
Yeah, so we also do not want an investigation in this matter. So because I want to share something. So Dr. Raghuveer has also prescribed me to take a bed rest and not to take any non-veg food and take fruits rich with nutrients and stuff. However, there was a mistake by my end. I attended a wedding on 31st October. So, and that the wedding I have actively participated since it was my close relative's wedding. I have also taken a high non-veg diet and I could not take bed rest. Yeah, so there was a mistake on my end, and that is why I do not want to share this information with them. Because that will have a negative effect on the compensation amount which we were trying to seek. Yeah, basically.
Apart from that, I was hesitant to reveal a couple of points during our conversation. And the first was that there's no bill to prove the sale of the prescription drug to Mr. Malik. And the second is that we have filed a complaint in the state commission, but the commission apparently has no jurisdiction to entertain that complaint. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing this with me. I have a much deeper understanding of your concerns and where you're coming from. As I said earlier, everything that you revealed here is completely confidential and would not be revealed unless you choose to. However, having said that, I think it's always best to reveal as much as you can so that we can better able to understand each other and we can better move forward in the process. Having said that, is there anything that you would like me to disclose or you would like to disclose yourself during the main session?
I would like to disclose myself.
That's perfect. So I will now bring Mr. Bharat and Mr. GPK from the waiting room into the main meeting.
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for their time. During the caucus, we had a meaningful conversation, and having heard both the parties, I can confidently say that we have much more in common than we thought. Now, I know Mr. Anu Malik wanted to share something personally. So why don't you go ahead and convey your thoughts directly?
Yeah. Thank you, Divya. So after discussing with Divya, the mediator, and considering that Mr. GBK, you have shared information in good faith, I want to share some information that there was a mistake in by my. I was prescribed to take a bed rest and not to take a non-veg diet along with the drug by Dr. Raghu. However, I could not comply with this. I attended a meeting, I attended a wedding on 31st October. I actively participated in that wedding since it was a wedding of my close relative. And I took non-veg diet there and not fruits, which as was prescribed. I could not take bed rest. Uh, that is why I accept that there was a mistake on my end. However, this does not mean that the drug which was prescribed to me was not the cause of the condition which I am addressing. So I hope that you may understand this, that since I have also disclosed some important information in good faith, I hope that you will consider your offer and provide me with a sufficient and reasonable compensation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anu. And I really appreciate your candor in disclosing this. Not a lot of people would disclose such a confidential information, especially in such an adversarial situation. And I'm pretty sure that this will help smooth out our mediation very much. And it's in the very spirit of a mediation to disclose the faults of both the parties so that we can move forward and look towards the future rather than dwell on the past. Uh, Considering that we've already made an offer which was not really appreciable, would it be possible for you to quote a number, considering that both the parties have actually already appreciated the faults on both the sides?
Yeah, I'm willing to accept, consider my offer. So as I have mentioned the breakup already, I am willing to lower my offer to 1 crore. And I hope that you may be willing to accept this, because I think since we both have done some mistakes on our both of our end, and since I have also disclosed some information in good faith and you have also disclosed, and it seems that we both are willing to end this dispute here and now, I think 1 crore is reasonable to me, and I hope that is reasonable to you as well.
Mr. Anu, I understand where you're coming from, but to be very fair, my board of directors, as I already told you, is really behind me to end this issue. But they've also told me to give you to end this issue with as less a compensation as possible. And so, even though I completely understand your situation and I completely understand what you're going through, 1 crore is still a huge amount. But just in the interest of mediation itself, if I can put forth an alternative situation where we can come up with a certain creative solution so that we can move forward with not just dealing with just compensation as a bulk matter. So if I may provide an alternative solution. So one thing that is extremely important to both me, my company, and my board of directors is the reputation of Philippines, because we are a national brand. We have high-tech hospitals all over the country, and we develop drugs throughout the year. And the public has a certain perception of us. And therefore, as I already told you, since you filed the complaint, our reputation has really taken a hit. And certain regular customers of our hospitals have also stopped coming, and I've been getting calls day and night about how I'm dealing with this issue. So considering that, if you can guarantee to me that my reputation will not continue taking a hit and that it would be maintained, I think what we can end up at is coming from 50 lakhs as compensation to say 75 lakhs as compensation. But just to confirm, you would have to keep this entire issue secret so that my reputation does not continue taking a hit.
See, if I was not clear earlier, I want to clarify that I have no problem in keeping this secret. My interest in this mediation table and coming through this mediation table, what I was seeking is just an reasonable compensation amount, which will be able to cover all my expenses, emotional trauma, and other things which I have already mentioned in my breakup. So I am willing to keep this secret as long as you are okay with providing me just an reasonable compensation amount, because that is something which is my primary interest in this edition.
If I may, considering your valid concerns, entering into a non-disclosure agreement might be a reasonable option.
Just to clarify, the offer on the table is that my client offer you 75 lakh, and in return your client signs a non-disclosure agreement whereby your client will not disclose any information in the public in perpetuity.
So if I could just explain, the thing is that you mentioned that in your breakup, certain amounts, and we also value our reputation because our stocks have been falling, and 25 lakhs is something I think we would value our reputation at. Therefore, the offer as it stands right now is that it's not 1 crore, it's still at 75 lakhs, but you would have to sign a non-disclosure agreement.
Yes, exactly.
See, I want to reiterate that I am seeking an adequate compensation which will cover my medical expenses as well as serve mine and my family's daily needs in future. Therefore, 75 lakhs is something which I'm still not willing to accept. Therefore, I request you to please consider that. Please consider that I have been being made disabled by this negligent incident perpetually. I cannot use my right hand nor my right leg. I cannot do things which I was able to do before. I have suffered great emotional trauma. Even only I can tell what I am feeling right now. So please consider increasing your offer. I am willing to sign the non-disclosure agreement. As I already mentioned, I have no problem with maintaining your reputation and keeping things discussed here and also in the consumer complaint secret. I have no problem with this, but I want a reasonable and just compensation amount, and I hope that you will think about it.
Okay, Mr. Anu, I understand where you're coming from. But as I already said, my board of directors has told me that the compensation in itself should be as minimal as possible. And I am, after all, an agent of the company. So if I may just suggest one more alternative solution. So in your breakup of 1.5 crores, you mentioned how your previous medical expenses, your emotional trauma, and the loss of your job all come to around 1.25 crores. And the rest, 25 lakhs that you were asking, was because you predict and you expect that as a result of methylcobalt, there would be subsequent loss of uh, your body facilities, and therefore facilities in the future as well. And for that, you valued it at 25 lakhs for the rest of your life. So,
Yes.
if I might suggest one solution, so considering that we have hospitals across the country and Philippines is such a reputed brand, and apart from this one small slide, Philippines has always been for all its customers, and customers are our greatest asset. Uh, so, one possible thing that I am authorized to do would be to give you a waiver for your entire lifetime's medical expenses, which you have already valued at 25 lakhs. So, that would include, say, physiotherapy for your paralysis in your right leg and your right arm. It would include any surgery that might be required for your heart attacks and any cardiac arrests that may happen, and any medical expenses. A blanket lifetime waiver would be something that we would be open to if you can still come to 75 lakhs, because as you've already said, you do value it at 25 lakhs.
Mr. Malik, before you respond, I would like to ask a clarificatory question. So, Mr. Bharat, you said that you would be willing to give a medical waiver. So, that medical waiver would be a blanket waiver for the lifetime, or it would have a cover of 25 lakhs, because that's what you mentioned a while back, because the 25 lakhs is the actual amount. So, what exactly is the terms and conditions of the waiver?
So I think it's a fair question. So the thing is, even though both me and Mr. Anu valued at 25 lakhs, I think in good faith, it would be better if we can give a lifetime waiver, because even for Mr. Anu, it would be really unappreciable if he has to keep on looking at the balance and keep on looking at the mounting bills and see whether he has reached the 25 lakhs or not. And we don't want that in our customers. So it would be a lifetime ban, a lifetime waiver of all medical expenses. And in return, the compensation amount would have to be reduced from 1 crore to 75 lakhs.
I really appreciate your gesture. I think this is something which seems workable to me. And I think this will be able to cover all the expenses and all the expenses I will be bearing in future and other things which I was thinking about. And I think I will be willing to accept this offer. However, I will just consult with my counsel what he thinks about it. Mr. Hiram, what do you think about it?
I think it's a offer that you should accept. Yeah, it's in your interest.
Because I'm sorry, Ms. Mediator, if I may just enter.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I just wanted to ask Ms. Mediator to so she can summarize the entire offer on the table, because it has a lot of clauses. So.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Mr. Bharat. So I see that that an offer has been made and accepted. That's great. So if I may just summarize, so Mr. Bharat has agreed to pay Mr. Anu Malik 75 lakhs in compensation, a lifetime medical waiver at the chain of their hospitals. And then in return, Mr. Anu Malik has agreed to sign a non-disclosure agreement, which will bind him to not disclose any or all events which happened before or which will happen before or during this mediation session.
Also, the major thing would be that the complaint at the state commission would be withdrawn, because that is something that's really important for us.
Yes, we are willing to withdraw that.
I think that's great that we have reached the agreement in the first session only. Is there anything else that the parties would like to say?
I would like to thank everyone in this table for this coming to this table and trying their best to ensure that we all come to the amicable solution at the first meeting itself, as Divya mentioned. When my counsel Hiram told me about mediation, I was quite skeptical about it, but he assured me that OCMC is the world's best center with best mediation. And I have seen this with Divya, that how well she has controlled this mediation and has allowed us to come to a solution. Now, after experiencing this mediation, I can definitely say that what Mr. Hiram was suggesting me was perfect. This mediation was perfect, and I am willing to suggest others about this. I would also like to apologize if sometimes I may have been swayed by my emotions, but I hope that you all will might be able to consider that how am I coming to this table, how emotional and physical trauma I have suffered. And I will, at the end, I would like to thank everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Anu. I definitely agree with you. And I'm pretty sure with great mediators like Ms. Divya and other OCMC members as well, the future of mediation in India is in extremely safe hands. And I would also really hope that you can get your life back into track with the compensation and with the waiver that we can give you. And I really hope that you can reconcile with your wife and if possible, your girlfriend as well. And I think that's about it. If my counsel wants to say anything.
Just to thank you, Ms. Divya, for being so well mediate this whole exercise. And I always prefer mediation over the litigation. And this also serves as a good example that I always prefer the right thing.
Thank you, everybody. I'm very glad that I could be of your service. I appreciate and applaud your efforts in navigating through this process. Thank you, everybody, for being so patient and understanding. I would also like to thank Professor Dr. Ashok Patil for giving us the opportunity to undertake the mediation simulation. Thank you very much.